Hey everyone. I used to smoke cigarettes. What I got in now, I believe it's been so long now I can't remember the exact year, but I'm pretty sure it was around 2006. Right in and around there anyways, that I quit smoking cigarettes. I was actually a long haul truck driver at the time, so it wasn't the easiest thing to do because if you've ever done any kind of long stretches of driving, and you're a smoker, you stop and grab yourself a coffee. Well, that cigarette kind of goes hand in hand. It's a pretty good relationship. That cigarette and coffee they just go down together so well when you're a smoker. But it was, catching up and having effects on my health. So I eventually did get to the point where I said, you know what, screw it. And I quit. And I've got, I guess what now? So 12 years or so in. So anything that has to do with smoking doesn't affect me personally. My wife don't smoke. Neither of my kids smoke. Good for them, right? But I still, because I have that empathetic heart, right? I'm a very empathetic person when it comes to how people treat others. And I can't stand when people try to oppress or impose their wills or their edicts or their preferences on others. So, when I've seen over the years, and it happened even when I was smoking, like the rampant price increases and the tax increases on cigarettes to the point where smokers were like, holy shit, the amount of money that was coming out of their paychecks just to, pay for their vice of choice or their addiction. And to this day, I still know lots of people. It's like, damn, man, a lot of your money goes into this stuff. And I wish I could help them. And I've tried and I've reached out to a lot of them to try to help them say, it could be going to a lot better places, right? But it's just a voluntary thing. I'm offering to help you and I'm trying to give you some advice, education. All that's great. And, we really do want to get to the point where there's less and less people consuming these, especially when you're talking about big tobacco cigarettes. I mean, look at the chemicals are in them. I mean, if you just go out and grow tobacco and smoke it that way, I'm sure it's probably not nearly as detrimental to your health. But, big tobacco has been working with governments for decades and decades and decades now, to the point where they've monopolized the industry and the government has such a cozy relationship with them. It's just all about, oh, well, I'll give you a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. But we've seen time and time again that it's the governments that are constantly increasing their benefits from smokers, and the actual companies themselves have been getting less and less share of the pie. But now this article, this is a CBC News health article. Now I guess the cigarette companies are pushing back a little bit and they're starting to increase their prices in a reflection of all this bullshit, and I suppose based on the inflation that they have to suffer too. So they're trying to creep up the price of cigarettes. But it's for they're the company that produces them. So in a way, it's kind of, they are the ones that should be benefiting and profiting from it, right? But the government has taken the largest chunk of the pie for so many years, for so long. Now they're pissed off at the fact that the companies are trying to cut into their action or take more of a chunk of their action. But meanwhile, it's the company's action. But anyways, like I say, government, fucking mafioso dipshits. What's the difference other than nobody believes that mafioso is legitimate, but a lot of people are indoctrinated to believe that government dipshits and authoritarian politicians, well, that's all legitimate. Oh, if they come to steal from you, but they're wearing a suit and they say that they're a liberal, conservative, or NDP, well, that's okay. But if they come at you and they say, well, I'm from this gang or this mafioso group, well, that's totally, well, no, you should put them all in the same category. It should be their action. Not the labels they place on themselves, because, people can label themselves in any way, manner, shape, or form they want to, as a means to sell some snake oil to you or to create some pretense of benevolence or authority. So, hey. Anyways, the headline out of this article is, smokers pay more, but it's tobacco companies, not the government, cashing in. Oh no, the government wouldn't like that. I mean, CBC News. It's like, hey, we need more and more chunk of that revenue, right? Because that $1 billion+ that we get to steal from the Canadian taxpayers to subsidize our, entitled lifestyles and our propaganda outlet. Well, hey, we need that. We need to maintain our cut, right? The price of cigarettes continues to increase, but it's not because of federal tobacco tax hikes. This is going to be a short video because I'm not even really going to delve into the article much. other than pointing out some statistical numbers that you really need to hear and understand. Now, I will post a link to the article in the description of the video below, which I always do. So if you want to go in and read the whole article and see if I've been misrepresentative in any way, you can hold me to account, or the people at CBC. But listen to this. This is the insane part, folks. Here we are. A Health Canada report obtained by CBC News found that to get smoking levels down to 6% by 2036, within range of the government's target, tobacco taxes must increase to 80% of the overall price from the current 68%. The final price for tobacco products is a combination of the producer's wholesale price, any retail markups, and taxes. So just think about that. Just with those numbers alone, it tells you that the price you pay for your pack or your carton of cigarettes, 68%, currently 68% of that cost is in pure taxes, in just, rent seekers, parasites, where it's not going to the actual company to benefit the company that is offering you this product that you consume. It's just the price they pay to keep government off their backs to a certain degree and allow them to propagate their market in the way or the manner that they see fit. But like I say, they probably recognize in recent years, in recent decades, like, hey, wait a minute, we're getting a lower and lower share of the pie here, and we're the ones that actually produce these cigarettes. So I think we should start to gain a little bit more of that share of the pie than the government from these central planning parasites, these authoritarian hacks. But the government's like, back away. And matter of fact, not only are they saying back away, or we don't, not only are they saying they want to keep that 68%, but based on this article, they want to ramp that up to make it 80% of the profits and leave the tobacco companies with getting 20% of it. Listen, Canada, the best thing you should do is, listen, I'll agree in one aspect in this article. Quit smoking for the sheer fact, or grow your own, or whatever the hell you got to do. But buying from these tobacco companies is telling you not only are you supporting these tobacco companies, but to a much, much larger extent and degree, you're supporting the fucking government to the tune of 68 to 80% potentially. And how much of that cost goes into the coffers to enrich these piece of shit authoritarian bureaucratic parasites. Wow. If those numbers don't disturb you, or if you haven't heard of them in the past, this should be a revelation that should, a little bit of a light bulb moment for you smokers, right? Think about that. People wonder all the time, or ask all the time, what can I do to fight against government? Well, if you're a smoker, it's a pretty good starting point. This would have a dramatic effect on the kind of revenue and incomes that they can bring in, right? That they in turn use to oppress the rest of the people, the population. Well, hey, take away that funding. Don't support them. Get into vaping. I guess the government's trying to get into that too, but do whatever you can, or just, like I say, just quit smoking entirely, because it's not beneficial to your health in any way. Anyways, although, like I say, I'm a live, let live kind of guy, so it's not like I'm saying to do it because, you should. Hey, smoke as you want, smoke as you wish, smoke as you might. But if you are doing it, well, you are greatly enriching and benefiting the central planners, the authoritarians among us. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.